Hey friends, I just got home from a wonderful day at the Bennett Community Center doing a program on the future of doll collecting, and Helen Kish was also there giving an amazing program, and we saw a program from Jennifer Murtha on BJDs and raised money for a wonderful cause, which is the Dogs for Dolls, a wonderful organization that gets therapy dogs to veterans. It's just a phenomenal cause, and we were just so grateful to be there and to raise awareness and money for that wonderful organization, which you'll be hearing more about that organization from me in the future. But I received some wonderful comments from you as always, and a couple of you were just interested in what I talked about today and some of the points that I touched on in my presentation. I have done this presentation for multiple clubs, and it's one of my favorite presentations to do. And I think we touch on a lot of things that are important, and some of the stuff that I touch on in the presentation is a couple things that some people just don't really talk about either. So I think that what I talk about is important to hear, whether it's something that you talk about or don't. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the things that I talked about today in my presentation. So if you guys are just tuning in, hello, I'm glad you're here. And thank you for chatting with me for a little bit today about the future of doll collecting. So as you guys know, the future for doll collecting, in my opinion and experience, is that it is very, very, very bright and exciting and wonderful. And the reason why the future of doll collecting is that way is because we have made it that way from all of the wonderful involvement and sharing and work that we are all doing in this community. A lot of you that are tuning in live right now have been a major part of all the work that we have done. When I start my presentations, one of the first things that I like to do is I like to ask the audience to raise their hands and say, why do you love dolls? What do you love about dolls? What does it for you about dolls? And usually no one says anything. Usually the audience is very quiet, but sometimes I will get a couple people raising their hands. So if you're on the feed, please let me know why you love dolls. There's a lot of reasons why we love dolls. Some of them are very private reasons. Some of them are very public reasons, but we all have our own reasons why we collect dolls and buy dolls and what we do in the doll world. So it's wonderful to know some of your reasons. I had asked this question once on my Facebook page, and I got a lot of really wonderful answers from you guys about why you love dolls. And the one of the answers that I loved was a poem that Billie Harris actually wrote at like 3 a.m. in her sleep. And I think it's so good. So I'm going to read it for you right now. Why Do We Love Dolls by Billie Harris. Why do we love dolls? Because they are all that we hope to be. We love dolls that are perfectly dressed with every ribbon and lace in place, or not. We love them because they do not judge. We love them because we can be anything with them. We love dolls because they may reflect past generations, fashions, and their histories. We love dolls because they may be cute, scary, or lifelike in their appearance. They may remind us of a person, a place, or an important time in our lives. But mostly we love dolls because they bring out the little girl or the little boy in us. They show us with childlike innocence a young person's excitement. We may use imagination without restraint. Why do we love dolls? Because they are what the world could be, should be, would be. Dolls are love. Dolls are magical. Dolls are hope. We love dolls. And I just think that is so good because it touches on so many of the wonderful reasons we love dolls. And dolls make us feel happy, and they bring out a lot of our inner child. And when children are growing up, it is essential. It is absolutely essential to play. And as we grow up and become older and become adults, we get lost in the whirlwind of everything that we need to do as adults to work and to earn our livings and to do what we do for other people, to support ourselves and do everything. And I think a lot of society has kind of taught us to, you don't play, that's only for children or whatever. But play is essential to child development and using your imagination. And so when you can play, and when you can do that, it's incredibly therapeutic. And Michael Canadas says that dolls are a safe place to play. And that could just not be more true. But so many of us have some of us have very stressful jobs, or, if you're a surgeon or you're a lawyer, or you do things for a living that are not wonderful and pleasant, and you come home at night, and dolls are a wonderful way for us to escape and to play and to be and to express ourselves. Dolls are an extraordinary form of expression, which is just one of the marvelous things. And you guys are doing wonderful comments on here. I love hearing what dolls mean to you and what you personally love about dolls, because we all have our own thing. So the future of doll collecting is we're going to touch on some of the things that build the future. But dolls as a whole are just, they're teachers. They teach us about culture. They are another way to time travel and to learn and to share. And they bring us together. And I think for a lot of us, the reason I keep looking over here is because of this guy keeps trying to ruin my presentation. Does he look sad about it? But dolls, we're going to talk about some more reasons why dolls are. But I love your comments. Keep them coming. Love them, love them, love them. So just a little bit about me. If you guys if you're just newly my friend, or you've been my friend for a long time, I am the daughter of Diane Hoffman, and I have been working in dolls for my entire life. I have done other things in the world, but I keep coming back to dolls because I am very passionate about what I do. I have done many other things. I actually have a certificate from the International School of Gemology in diamonds and jewelry. So I could be off like doing jewelry stuff, but I love what I do here. But I'm going to show you real quick my screen right here. So this is my son, Murray, which you guys just saw him, and my daughter, Dolly. And here we are in the doll shop. Right here, you can see that I was destined, I think, to do dolls. Right in this picture, that solidified it right there. There's me in the doll shop right there, surrounded by teddy bears. I'm sure my mom was doing an ad, and then she put me in there. And there's my mother right there, Diane Hoffman. And there I am with some Raggedy Anns in the doll shop. That was just a really fun day. I do a program on Raggedy Anns that I really love. It's really entertaining. I hope you guys can kind of see it sometime. Maybe I can do it this way. But we work in out of Turn of the Century Antiques, which is in Denver, and it's one of the largest doll shops, brick and mortar doll shops in the nation. And we have been in business for 40 years and at our current location for 31 years. So I'm really grateful for the work that I do there, and it's fantastic. So, but getting back to the subject of dolls and why we love dolls, for a lot of people too, they're kind of a way to redo what they didn't get to do maybe when they were growing up. If you weren't allowed to collect Barbies as a child, well, I know there's a lot of people out there that are Barbie collectors right now that made up for it, and they have thousands or hundreds of Barbies, and they're getting their sweet revenge on not being able to do it, and it's just so wonderful. So I think we see a lot of ourselves in the type of dolls that we own and collect and that are drawn to us. So what do the dolls mean to the world? Well, dolls are their culture, their art. They're another way of transporting ourselves to learning about other people and other lives. These right here are some wonderful Door of Hope dolls from the Grovian Doll Museum in California. And you can learn so much about the people that made these dolls and the women and children that they saved. And it's just remarkable to learn and to get even if you're not interested in certain kinds of dolls, when you can learn about them and you can't help but appreciate them. All kinds of dolls. So we talked about social media and how social media has absolutely evolved and changed our marketplace. And for me and for my business, social media used to be a thing that was kind of a nice thing to have, but now it's essential. And through our Facebook and through our social media, it gives us extraordinary expression. And what I mean by that is that I get to see so much, and we get to share so much, and I get to share so much of my life and my expression and my beliefs and my the things that make me happy through social media. And it's really changed the way that we live and the way we communicate. And so social media, there's a lot of you that are on it, you guys rock and you do a great job. But if you have people that are kind of afraid of it, it's good to get them involved and kind of inch them in to being involved on social media in some way, because I think that the good definitely outweighs any kind of the bad that they could give you. One of the things that I really love on Facebook and on social media is doll groups. So how to find a doll group? Well, you can go to the groups tab right over here. And then in the search box, you can type in whatever you're interested in. So there are so many doll hospital, antique dolls for sale. There's so many, Dolly, quit, missus. There are so many different groups that you can join. One of my favorite groups is the Friends of the UFDC Doll Museum. And for whatever your interest is, there's probably a group or a page for it. So groups are a wonderful way to get involved and to get more into the community that is what you are interested in. So you can get into Barbie groups. You can get into just whatever your interest lies. I guarantee you there's probably a group for that. And if there isn't, you should create one. And so, and if you guys have attended my virtual doll convention, that is run inside a group. So it's a wonderful way to engage and to have that kind of harmonious little place. It's an actual place where people can go, and it's wonderful. So one of the stories that I like to tell, because we talk about how the doll market has changed and what it's doing and this and that. When people talk about how it's changed, and what I hear a lot from people is, and I don't hear it as much anymore, but I have in the past, is, the doll market is slowing down, it's dying, it's doing this, it's doing that. It's because a lot of that conversation, I think, is coming from people who are just a lot of times kind of slowing down themselves and are not out there being active and doing things. Because if you are attaching yourselves to people that are active in the doll world, in the doll community, there are so many wonderful things that are happening across the globe all the time. Doll conventions, doll shows, clubs, meetings, meetups, museums. I mean, my gosh, there are like I'm going to travel to Philadelphia in 2 weeks to go to the Little Ladies exhibit at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. There's so much that is happening, and it's a matter of getting involved and supporting that and going and doing it. So, I mean, for me, there is so much happening in the doll community that I love, that I can't keep up. And it's just every weekend you could be doing either a doll like thing online, taking a class, doing so many things. So when people say to you that kind of stuff, what I would like to encourage you to do is to consider the source. So I am a mover and a shaker in the doll community. My life revolves around the work that I do in dolls. You will never hear me saying that because it's not true. That's when you hear that, that's from people's perspectives of people that are not working towards making a better future for the doll community. So stick to the opinions of the people that are actually out there doing the work to create a better future for dolls. And those people are doing the work through education, through organizing doll shows, organizing doll events. And the best thing that you can possibly do is support those people. Support their doll shows, support their events, click the share button, distribute posters, do something. Because to do anything in this world is a tremendous amount of work. Even the event that I just did today was so much work for the organizers. And so the least that I could do was talk about it on my mail list and, get involved. So yes, the doll market has changed. We've had ups and downs in the last 10 years, but when you think about it, hasn't everything had its ups and downs in the last 10 years and 20 years? Everything has had its ups and downs, and it will continue to have its ups and downs. That's just the nature of life and our human existence is ups and downs. So dolls, everything cycles, but it's always important to just keep going and especially buy the best you can afford. And don't let the naysayers get to you that want to kind of say horrible things like the doll world is, dying a slow death and stuff like that. It's like, no, it's not. It's like so hot and so happening. And like, it's definitely I sound like a valley girl right now, but it's definitely the hippest place to be. Unless you're hanging out with Murray. He is the bossiest little bugger. I can't even tell you. If this 14-year-old poodle is not happy, nobody is happy. So I want to make no mistakes out there. The doll world is thriving. It's thriving. It's doing great. And we only can look forward to wonderful, great things in the future. Across the board, I am seeing increases in attendance, increases in manufacturing, in sales, in involvement, in excitement. It's happening, and it's happening globally, and it's doing great. And it's all because of you and everything that we are doing together. So when times change, and so don't hang on to like the glory days that were maybe the 70s and the 80s when things were selling for ungodly prices and it was just so crazy and this and that, because life is all about evolving and moving on and moving forward. And if you're purchasing a doll solely for the purpose of what is it going to be worth in 2 or 3 years or in 10 years from now, that's the wrong reason to purchase a doll. That's always going to be the wrong reason to purchase a doll. You never want to buy a doll based solely on, because if you're just thinking about the money, you're not having any fun. And our doll buying is supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to elicit feelings and love in us. And so the role of dolls is not about, how they're going to increase in value and stuff like that. Yes, we want to know that but you're putting your money where your love is. And I just can't really think of too many things in the world that give back as much as dolls do, except for dogs. That's kind of one of the animals in general, is like, I paid $25 for this poodle, and I've definitely gotten my money's worth, I'd have to say. And I definitely think he's actually increased in value too. So our dolls are kind of that way. Whether you spend $25 or you spend $25,000, it's when you walk into the room and you instantaneously feel less stress and happy, and you are enjoying that wonderful feeling that you were getting from your dolls. They are just, like my brother just said, they're a great way to experience life. So, yeah, well, thank you. He says he's one of the cutest dogs ever. Throughout my presentation, a couple times I show some Raggedy Anns. Raggedy Ann is definitely one of my favorite dolls. She always will be. I can do my Raggedy Ann presentation for you guys soon if you'd like, but Raggedy Ann is a wonderful doll, and I love her because there is an extraordinary amount of expression in especially the early dolls. So these ones right here are wonderful handmade dolls that were made by probably moms that maybe couldn't afford the Voland ones of the time, but they worked hard to create and to make the dolls. One of the things I love about them is that you didn't need a pattern. For Raggedy Ann, they didn't start making her pattern until I think McCall, which was in the 40s. So there's a lot of really wonderful takes on the dolls, and the art that comes out of the creation is just really, really, really wonderful. There's a lot of you that are tuning in that are doll makers, and I love hearing your feedback about the doll making community and what is happening there. That is something I am focusing on very heavily in the upcoming virtual doll convention, because the dolls that are being made today are the antiques of tomorrow that we love and appreciate so much. And so I think that as the keepers and the people that are propelling our movement forward, one of the things that we must always do is support our working and living artists. And we should be supporting artists in every medium. Art is something that is essential to our culture and to our life. And without art, I think as a civilization, we would have crumbled in many ways, and we still would, because when you think of what is art, dolls are art. And you go to museums and you look at all the art and all of the history and just everything that is built on that art. Art in itself is our future. So one of the things that I touch on right here is that when you hear things that are not true about the doll community from people that are probably not active themselves, I want you to feel free to change the conversation. Because if you're working hard and you're doing stuff and you're working on your project and your show and your event, what we do today creates some momentum for a better tomorrow. And for anything to survive, it must be nurtured. So learning about dolls and buying dolls and doing dolly things increases the quality of our life. And by doing things like redecorating our doll houses and sharing that experience in groups or on Facebook as you do it, or posting a video from your collection, or just whatever you do, if you sew to something and you feel like you could maybe share that experience, especially on social media, you have no idea what that could mean to somebody. When we were in the virtual doll convention, one of the people that was registered was a 19-year-old man, and he was watching Linda's sewing instructions, and he said, I have always wanted to sew, but I've just never had the guts to do it, and you're empowering me. I think I can do it. And we were making a pair of underwear. It wasn't until about like 2 weeks later that he had made 2 gowns for French fashion dolls. He had made gowns. and he made them in his own way, and they were insanely gorgeous and wonderful. And this is somebody that had never sewed, a 19-year-old man that had never sewed, and now within 2 weeks he was creating gowns. So by igniting that flame and kind of, I don't want to say, but sometimes you have to give other people permission to express themselves, and you can do that by doing that yourself, and by feeling called to put it out there and to put the message out there that not only is this okay to do, it's something you should do, and it makes your life better, and here's why. So motivating others and cultivating those relationships, and especially giving somebody the guts to go out and do things, I think is just one of the best things that we can do as doll collectors and advocates for what we do. So I obviously make part of my living, a lot of my living, on buying and selling antique dolls and vintage dolls and dolls of all types. And one of the things that I like to touch on in my program is when to sell your dolls. Well, you should only, I will be the first to always tell you, you should only sell your dolls when it's the right time for you. This happens to me a lot, but in my antique store, I get a lot of people that are older, and they come in, or they call, or they email, and they say that they are being, basically bullied by their family, or society is telling them that they should be selling their dolls because they're of a certain age, and the children don't want to deal with them when they get older, or after their death. I just hear some of the most honestly atrocious things from what people say to their family members about why they should sell their dolls. And a woman named Mary came into my shop, it was probably like 2 years ago, and she came in with one of her dolls. I could tell the doll meant a lot to her. You can tell. And she put it on the counter, and she said, I have more dolls like this, and I would like to sell my dolls because my children say that I should, and that I'm aging, and this and that. She had all these reasons why and I don't think that her daughter was necessarily coming from an evil place or anything. I hear this a lot from people that are actually nice people. They're just misinformed about why we need our dolls in our lives. But she had said that she needed to do this because this is what her children said. And I asked her how old she was, and she was 86. And I said, Mary, you have made it to 86. You have worked your entire life. You raised your children. And we talked for a bit, so she was telling me all these things. She had given her children wonderful lives. She was 86. And she thought that she should be selling her dolls right now. And it wasn't a financial reason. And I said, Mary, if you got to 86. I hope you get to 96 and 106. And in that time, you deserve and should be doing whatever the hell you want. And I told her that. I said, you don't have to be selling any of your dolls or your things because society says you should, or because you suddenly hit a certain age. The older people of our lives are the ones that we should be helping to get their dolls, and to place them with things that are making them happy, and surrounding them with the things that are making them happy. So she was worried about the dolls, and I get that, because when we think about dying and we think about going to heaven, we think about what's going to happen to our dolls, because we care very much about our dolls, and we want to make sure that they go to good places. And I said, Mary, when you look at this doll, when you look at the doll in the face, does that doll speak to you? Does that doll create a feeling in you? And she said, absolutely. And it was a googly. And she said, absolutely. This doll makes me very happy. And I said, okay, then here's what we're going to do. We wrote a note, and it said, on the note, it said, when I die, call Rachel at Turn of the Century Antiques. And the note was on the back of one of my cards. and she will buy the doll. And so I gave her a stack of notes, and I told her what like my consignment agreement is and stuff like that. And so she decided, before she left the store, she went home with 2 dolls. She bought 2 dolls. Instead of selling, she bought 2 dolls, and she went home happy and excited and hopeful, and she wasn't worrying about what other people were telling her she had to do anymore. She was worrying about herself and her own life and her own happiness. And I am telling you that you have permission to do the same thing. So if you are in a spot where you kind of feel like there's a lot of reasons why that we need to downsize, and I don't want you to ever feel like it's a bad thing to do that. Sometimes your collecting goes in another direction. Sometimes you want to sell for financial reasons, maybe to buy a different doll. There's a lot of really personal reasons why we part with our dolls. But if it's because if it's because society has maybe given you mixed messages about that, or uninformed family members have given you mixed messages about that, then tell them to come talk to me, or send them the video, or just don't buy into it. Basically, don't buy into it. I want you to know that you should be doing in life everything that makes you happy. And dolls are like just one of the most glorious things that we can ever do and invest our time and energy in. So when people say that kind of stuff, what I like to do is just say, thank you for the information. And sometimes you can wink at them. Valerie Fogel told me that. When you just give them a little wink and then you walk away. So Mary, she's still alive. She's hopefully still buying dolls. And instead of now worrying about parting with them, she is going to enjoy them until her last breath. And then in her will, she has written down to contact Rachel Hoffman at Turn of the Century Antiques, and I will sell the dolls. I will take my commission, and I will give the money back to the family. And so there she doesn't have to worry, because now a doll person is dealing with them. I'm going to make sure that they are handled correctly and with respect, and go to the right people that are going to be wanting them. Because really, think about it. Our dolls belong to somebody else before we got them, and then we take care of them for a while, and then they go to the next person. So we really are gatekeepers, and we take care of our dolls, and we take really good care of them, and then they do go on and live other lives, and experience other things, and help other people experience other things. So taking care of our dolls is just one of the wonderful things that we can do. But if you're thinking you have to sell them before you go to heaven, just know that all you need is a plan. You just need a plan in place, put in your will, and whether whoever you use that you trust that is active in the doll community, then put them in your will and say, call them and leave instructions. And I would recommend leaving 2 or 3 people, because sometimes when you make your will 2 or 3 or 10 years, or God willing 20 years later, maybe that person isn't active, or you've got $1 million worth of dolls and that dealer might not necessarily be able to handle that. Leave 2 or 3 resources, working resources for that. And then you can just do whatever you want, right? And you can keep enjoying. And if you want to take a couple of them with you, you can put them in the casket and live forever. So it's whatever you want to do, and what speaks in your heart. So if you're gravitating towards a new direction, great. But I can't hone in enough how important it is to do what's best for you. To do what's best for you. So one of the things that I recommend, if you are thinking of your future and you're thinking of the safety of your dolls when you're in heaven, is to pin notes to the inside of the dress on the doll. We recently got a wonderful collection, and I can figure out what I need to figure out about any kind of doll because of my knowledge and my research and the people in my network. But what this wonderful lady had done is she had pinned notes to the inside of each doll on the dress. And it was so great for me because she told me, she said, the right leg has been repaired, or this one has a special body, or this or this or this or this. So as a dealer, not only did it help her family because they were able to see what the significance of the dolls, but it also helped me as a dealer to be able to decipher, oh my gosh, that is a special doll because of that reason and this and that. And it saved me hours and hours and hours and hours of time and research. So don't be afraid to do that. Like, leave messages, write notes, keep records. It's all really good. And it helps tell that story. And honestly, the next person that's going to get the doll will want to hear from you and to know maybe what you felt about that doll, or where you bought the doll, or who you bought it from. We love provenance, and we love stories, and we love details and stuff like that. So that's a really important thing to do. So basically, if you guys have any questions about anything, about, or if you're just feeling on a ledge, my story and my message is always about self-empowerment and feeling confident in what you're doing and being okay. And I am a big advocate for thinking about what you want and working towards it. So I do a lot of affirmations where I get up in the morning and sometimes if my cup isn't very full, I have to refill it. And you guys help me a tremendous amount in refilling that cup. And I do a lot of positive self-talk where I tell myself good and positive things. I check in on myself. And a lot of times when you guys see those messages from me, the really empowering messages that I put out there towards you, it's normally because I'm going through a tough time. And I need to hear that for myself when I put that stuff out there, because being a human in this world is hard. It can be really, really, really hard. And we are constantly facing challenges and having things that pop up that just are hard sometimes. So, give yourself, always be gentle with yourself. And that's one of the things that I constantly try and remind you guys is that be gentle with yourselves, because I tend to be pretty hard on myself. I'm one of those that stay up all night, feeling bad about things or torturing myself about stuff. And it's taken a lot of work to be grateful, not grateful, but to love what is. And so sometimes what isn't what, you planned or what you had hoped for. And I can tell you that armed with the love of dolls, anything is possible. And for working in dolls and pursuing my dreams and meeting you, all of you, and traveling and getting involved in the doll community, by doing those things, it has really, and I'm 33 years old, it has given me, and growing up in dolls, it has given me such a great life. And I've had a lot of challenges. I still have a lot of challenges. But the dolls, they make life so much more special. And, I'm constantly finding inspiration in unexpected places and, enjoying the process. So if you are just starting out in your doll journey, or maybe you're getting re-inspired after taking a break, it's okay to take breaks in our doll journeys. It's okay to, let it unfold and let it breathe for a while. And it's okay to take space. And so if you're in one of those spaces, just check in with yourself and be gentle with yourself. And do some positive affirmations. So what I do is I check in with myself and I actually write down things. I write down what I'm grateful for. I write down what I would like to accomplish. And I am a huge advocate for manifesting what you want. And so if you have always dreamed of maybe having an A mark or a wonderful dollhouse or a Grodner tall or a mint in box, whatever it is that your heart desires, I can guarantee you that if you focus on that and you think about it and you manifest it, I can guarantee you a part of that will happen for your life. It may not happen in the way that you planned it, but it'll happen. And it only works unless you do, unless you get out there and you stay involved and you make those connections and you do the work. But I am a huge advocate for manifesting your dreams. And so here, sometimes it's easy to get down on yourself and to just, say, oh, that didn't work, or, oh my gosh, the climb seems so hard. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do all of that. And no matter it is, if you've got something going on with your family or your health or your finances or, your relationships, there's a lot of moving parts in our world, but you really need to, and I'm just telling you from my experience, is to be kind to yourself and to tell yourself, no, I'm not going to follow that thought process. This is possible. So one of my affirmations I'm just going to share with you from the other day. And now when I talk about these affirmations, I write them in a way that is for the future and maybe not where I'm at right now, because where I'm at right now is not where I want to be in 5 years or even in 5 months. We're constantly evolving and moving and changing, and I want to do that. So I write, sometimes if I'm having maybe a bad day and I don't feel confident and I don't feel like I did it right, or I'm letting all the noise that surrounds me get to me, I'll write an affirmation and I'll read it out loud. So here's just an example of one. Rachel is a beautiful, confident person who tries hard in life to do the best she can. My past mistakes do not define me or bring me down. I am working very hard in my career to be the best doll customer service person on the internet. I am working so that I can use my fortune to open up a nursing home for elderly dogs in my community, and I would like to open up a hospice type thing so I can go and adopt at least 20 to 25 dogs immediately. So that's something I'm working towards. So I would like to eventually, I live in a beautiful condo that I'm so grateful for, but I would eventually like to move out and move onto a property where I can go and adopt all the Murrays of the world, not of every breed. And I want to go and I want to buy all the old dogs on the clearance rack and give them a home and give them love and give them, the wonderful love that they deserve in the end stages of their life. And whether that's, I would adopt a 22-year-old dog. I would take them if I could. So that's one of the things that I am working towards in my life and my financial goals, is that I want to do that. And yours might look a little bit different. Yours might be that you want to, if you're trying to have a child, or if you're wanting a certain doll. Just anything is possible. And the most important thing that we can do is hold on to hope. Hold on to hope, because where's the drawback into holding on to hope? There's no drawback to holding on to hope. So never give up hope. Never give up on yourself. Our dreams are what we have. And wonderful things have been built on people pursuing their dreams. And so don't give up on yourself and don't give up on your dolls. Well, Well, I hope this was a fun talk. I enjoyed spending a little bit of time with you today, and I look forward to chatting with you in the next couple days. On Monday, we will be announcing the souvenir artist for the virtual doll convention, which is just going to be an incredible thing. And so I'm very excited about that. And on Monday, all of the people who registered for the first convention will have the opportunity to register for the June convention for $20. So I'm working very, very, very hard to make so much of the world accessible to you, and by traveling and doing all of these things and working with museums and bringing all of these things to one spot to where they're accessible to people across the planet is my why. And you guys send me cards and wonderful things in the mail, and I line my desk at work with them. And anytime I feel like I'm getting like I can't do this, or maybe I should just go work in jewelry and do something that's easier, I don't know. I think about my why, and I think about what the dolls do and how much they brighten so many lives and all of us, and how much community they have brought to the world and what they do. And I will not stop. I will not stop. I will continue to forge ahead with your wonderful support, and I couldn't do it without you. And together we're just going to do amazing things. So watch out for Monday for that video that I'm going to be doing with Bradley Justice. And I enjoyed chatting with you guys today. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and I look forward to reading all of your comments. Okay? Bye, everybody.